Hello everyone, myself Dr. Jyoti Mandala. Welcome you all to the video lecture series on the course Shell Programming. So up to our last lecture, we learned about different types of command that we can learn on the Unix terminal. I hope you all are clear with those commands. We understood like 10, 15 to 20 commands, and then in that command what are all the multiple options that are available. I hope you all are clear with those concepts. From this lecture onwards, we are going to learn about how to program on the shell. Like how shell programming is nothing but we are going to write down the program which should be understandable by the shell. That is what our main aim is. Right? Shell programming is nothing but we are going to write down one program in one editor, and that program has to be understandable by the shell. Okay, now understand here, whenever we are writing shell programming, it is case sensitive. Case sensitive in the sense the uppercase letters and the lowercase letters are considered in a different way. So you need to understand shell programming, whenever you are doing, it is case sensitive. So make a note of that one. We might have already understood this one while writing the commands. The way it has been defined, we need to use in that way only. Suppose ln command we used, it should be all small letters only, but if you use capital letters, it will not be working, right? So this is what the same thing. Even if you are writing the program like your C programming or Java programming or Python program, whatever program you the way you have written the programs there, we follow the case sensitivity. Here also shell programming follows the case sensitivity. I hope you all are following. Now what is shell programming is? Shell programming is nothing but we are going to write, as of now we have executed one command at one time through the terminal, isn't it or not? We have opened our terminal and we executed one command after another command. But suppose if you want to execute 100 commands, in that case, what is the approach you need to do? You need to execute first command, and then you need to check the output, and then you need to execute the second command, and then you need to check the output, like that. But you want that is very tedious work. It is a time-taking process. We have an alternate for that one, where all the 100 commands, whatever you want to execute, all the 100 commands can be written in one file. As an example, I am taking 100 commands. It can be more than or less than this also. Okay, all the 100 commands are written in one file, and that file will be given as an input at the shell. Okay, input at the terminal, and there we are going to execute. Okay, all the 100 commands are written in one file and execute this one file, where whenever you execute this file, no, all the 100 commands will be executed at once. And this file, whatever we are writing, no, this file, this one file is referred as your shell script. Okay, you will get output here once you write all the 100 commands. So this file is referred as shell script. I hope you all are understanding, right? So instead of writing one by one, working on a terminal, it is okay, but it is a time-taking process. What we can do, all the 100 commands, whatever you want to execute, you open one document, and there you write down all the commands, whatever you want to execute, and save it with one name. And that file can be given as an input. With one command, you can execute all those commands. Okay, so that file where you are writing all the 100 commands is referred as the shell script. Okay, so in similar like simply you can understand, shell script is nothing but group of commands. Okay, shell script is nothing but group of commands. Okay, now before going to write the how to write down the programs, and how to write down the commands, and how to open the file, how to execute the file, before going to understand this one, in today's class we'll see about what are all the different types of shells we have. In the first lecture itself, in brief I told you like what are all the different types of shells we have. In today's class I'll tell you in detail about the different types of shells we have, and how can we know what are all the different shells that are available, that are coming by default with the Unix package, and how to move from one shell, one type of shell to the other type of shell. All these things we are going to understand. This is very important for you, because in future if you are going to be hired by any company, if they are asking you to work with a particular type of shell, then you should be familiar enough how to move from one shell to the other shell. Okay, so let us see first today's class. We will see what are the different types of shells we have. Okay, keep your heading all of you. We will see all the types of shells. types of shell. I am talking about types of shell in case of Linux. Okay. So first type of shell is Bourne shell. Okay, Bourne shell. Now this shell is the very oldest shell, like with the first Unix operating system it has come. So this is considered as the oldest shell of all the different types whatever we have now. This is the oldest shell and it has come with the first Unix operating system. Okay, and it is developed by a person called B shell. So it is developed by Stephen Bourne. Okay, this shell is also referred as B shell. Got it? I hope you all are understanding. So Bourne shell is the oldest shell which has come with the first Unix version, and the other name for Bourne shell is B shell, and it is developed by a person called Stephen Bourne. That's why the name has been given as Bourne shell. So if you want to work with this shell, then we need to use which command? The command that can be used to work with this shell is sh command. So I'll show you what are all the things. Okay, so in it is like in oldest shell, if I am telling, means it is nothing but in 1960s. At that time it was there. Okay, understood all of you? So this is the first Bourne shell, the first shell which is called as a Bourne shell. We'll see whenever you want to execute any file using this shell particularly, then the command we need to use is sh command. How to execute and all we are going to learn in the next class. Okay. Let us see the second type of shell, that is Bash shell. Now what is this Bash shell? What is the full form of this Bash shell? We have already learned in the first class itself. Full form of this one, Born Again shell. Okay. That's why it is named as BASH, Born Again shell. Okay, so this is an advanced version of, by the name itself we can understand, this is an advanced version of Bourne shell. Advanced version of Bourne shell. And most of the Linux system what we have now, for all those Linux systems, like most of the Linux systems, this is the default shell. This Bash shell is the default shell. I'll show you how to know which type of shell we have. By default, I'll show you later, but understand clearly here, remember all of you, this is the default shell most of the Linux systems will be having. Okay, so whenever we want to execute with this shell, no, we need to use a command called bash, small letters. Okay, the command that we need to use is bash. Alright, so this is about bash shell. Let us see the next type of shell, that is third type, that is called as a Korn shell. Third type, Korn, K-O-R-N, Korn shell. Now it is developed by David Korn. Developed by David Korn. Alright, so this type of shell is used mostly in IBM AX operating system. It is not like in all the systems it will be used. It is mostly used in IBM AIX operating system. Okay, this is for that system particularly it was designed, IBM AIX operating system. Alright, and the command if you want to execute, the command that you need to use is KSH command. We'll move to the next type of command, next type of shell, that is C shell. You should be familiar, you should know what are the different types of shell, even though you may not be working with all the different types of shells, but you should know what are all the types of shells we have. Okay, that's why I'm reflecting here, like I'm telling here what are the different types of shells we have. And this is developed by, this C shell is developed by Bill Joy. Okay, and here C, why they have mentioned C, because C shell, where the C represents California University. Okay, next, it is also available in Unix by default. By default in Unix. Okay, and the command that we need to use is CSH command. Got it? Now, next type of shell we have is T shell. Don't get confused, all these types of shells we are not going to use. We are going to use the bash shell only, but for your understanding, for your information, you need to know what are the different types of shells we have. Okay, so what is that? Here. Yes, T shell. Now what is this T shell? This T means, T stands for terminal. Okay, and it is an advanced version of C shell. And it is mostly used in a system called HP Unix systems only. Okay, used in HP Unix systems. And the command that we need to use here to execute any shell script is test, TESH, sorry, TCSH command. Okay, this is the fifth type of shell that we have. Next type of shell is Z shell. Here I will write Z shell. Now this is developed by Paul. Okay, and the command that we need to use if you want to execute this type with this type of shell is ZSH. Okay, that's all. These are all the different types of shells we have. Okay, Bourne shell, bash shell, corn shell, C shell, T shell and Z shell. Okay, of all these cells, this is also like a default, but maybe used by specific systems only. But I'll show you what are all the different types of shells we have whenever we installed any Ubuntu into our system. Okay, to understand this one, let me tell you first how to check what is the default shell in our system. So the first question you may be getting is how to check default shell in our system. Okay, how to check? We have a command to check what is the default command in our this one. The command we can use is, first one, dollar echo dollar 0. If you type this command, then it will be showing you the default shell. Let us try that. Open the terminal, all of you, and then open the command prompt, not command, this is the terminal. Okay, now here you need to type echo dollar 0. Now see, it is showing bash. It is nothing but for my system, because Ubuntu I have installed. Here I told you, no, this is the default shell, that's why it is showing bash. I have not installed anything, nothing, just I have installed Ubuntu, that's it. So the default shell is bash. We have another way of knowing the thing, which shell is the default shell. That one is $echo. You need to write a variable, that is shell. Echo $shell. Shell is a predefined variable. Let us check that one also. Okay, echo dollar, all capitals, shell. Did you see? This is the default shell. It is showing the complete path where it is there. We have one more thing here. Understand, shell is a predefined variable. Okay, we have another way of knowing the thing also, that is dollar. We need to write cat command, where you need to pass etc. You already know the configuration files and all are available in this directory etc. While learning the file directory structures, no, we understood this one. Bin, etc, different types of directories are there. Okay, etc will be holding the configuration files. Okay, now here you write pass wd, then it will be showing which shell is the default shell in our system. So what we need to do, cat command, you know what is the use of cat command. Okay, /etc to display the contents of that file. Cat command is used to display the contents of the file, right? Then if you click, these are all the contents in this file. So but you understand here, this is displaying here, that means this is the default shell that is available. Understood? Now this is the way how you are displaying what is the default shell. But suppose you want to know what are all the different types of shells are available in our computer. Okay, which command can be used? This command is used to know the default shell. But if you want to know what are all the shells available, then what is the command? How to check available shells in our system. That means once you have installed, what are all the shells that are available? The command that we can use is, note down, $etc/shells. If you write along with the cat command, then it will be displaying in the shells. It contains all the supporting shells, available shells that are there. Okay, let us run this command and see. Okay, Control L. What we need to do? Cat /etc/shells. So if you can see, these are all the supporting shells. SH, I told you, no, what is SH shell? SH shell is Bourne shell, bash shell, R bash shell, dash shell. Different types of shells are supported here. So these are all the supporting shells, but by default shell is bash shell. Okay, now suppose if you want to execute, let us consider, I already told you which shell we are using. So $echo $0, if you are clicking, you are in the echo $0. If you are clicking, it is showing you are in the bash shell. But suppose you don't want to use the bash shell, this is the default one. That means here if you are typing anything, any statement if you are writing to execute the shell script, then it will be running using the bash shell. But you don't want to use bash shell, you want to use sh shell. Then how can we switch between the shells? To switch between the shells, it is very simple. Suppose by default you are in the bash shell. If you want to move to the sh shell, then simply click sh, type sh and then click. Now you are in the sh shell. Okay, now here if you type echo $0, it will tell you which shell you are working now. You can see here it is displaying SH, means you are working in the SH cell. Here you can write down the statements whatever you want, what are all the commands we have learned earlier, all those commands we can run. But what is the difference? By default we used bash earlier, now we are using SH cell. Okay, this is an advanced version. Bash is an advanced version of your Bourne shell, that you need to understand. Okay, now if you want to come out of this one, you don't want to use this shell SH shell anymore, then you need to simply write exit. You have come out of that one. That means this is the way how you are switching to the another shell, and this is the way how you are coming out of that shell. Okay, suppose if you want to go to the dash shell, then what you need to do? Simply write dash. Then you are in the dash shell. So you need to write on the command. If you want to know this command only, I will run $0. You are in the dash shell. Okay, exit means you are coming out of that. Right. So this is about how different types of shells we have, and how can we know how can we know in our system what are all the different types of shells available, and how can we know what is the default shell in our system, and how can we switch between the shells. Okay, this is very important. Why? Because through this shell only we are going to execute the things, execute our shell script. Okay, I hope you all are clear with this today's concept about types of shells and some questions regarding the shells. Right, so let us all meet in the next lecture. Until then, thank you all of you.